Every scenario changes, and when you move on from a player, it changes your needs. Today, what is this mock draft going to look like after L'Jarius Sneed on Mock Draft Monday here on Locked On Chiefs?
From the land of the free and the home of the Chiefs, this is the Locked On Chiefs podcast.
Welcome back, everybody. We appreciate you. Hope you had a great weekend. I know there's weather around the country, but we thank you for joining us here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. We start here on YouTube, and we echo out through eternity. I think that's a Russell Crowe quote. Through podcast platforms everywhere, starting on Spotify, going to Apple Music, and then going out everywhere you can get a free podcast. You can get us 5 days a week plus. We appreciate you guys for being here, and you everydayers, you know when it's coming in that you're going to get us every single day. Plus, when you get breaking news like the L'Jarius Sneed news over the weekend, we appreciate you being with us, liking the shorts. Chris got one out for L'Jarius. I followed up the next day with L'Jarius. So we try to give you all aspects around here. We're going to do the same thing today as we get to our mock draft. Make sure that you guys are signed up and you check out everything that we do. He's at KCChiefsCorner.com, also just Chiefs Corner on Substack if you just want to do a search there. I am at RGR Football at NFL33.com and obviously RogueAPC.com, where I want to give you guys a little hint. I gave it out yesterday, but if you just put in LOC at RogueAPC.com right now, you get a discount on the Athletic Matrix. V1 is out now. V2 is coming as soon as the Pro Day circuit wraps up, and then the draft guide will be upon us. So hope that you guys are ready for that. I'm excited for this because draft is my favorite part. Mr. Chris Clark, how are you doing today, and are you ready to make some new Chiefs?
I'm ready. It's a lot of fun doing Mock Draft Monday. I've always enjoyed this part of it, so let's just jump right into it. And let me share the screen. Okay, so PFF has been updated. They do have our extra third-round pick for 2025 if it comes down to it, but let's just go ahead and hop in and start the draft.
That's flying. Looks like Flogger comes off, Mims comes off, Guyton comes off. If I caught those in real time, maybe I didn't, but looks like the tackle group picked pretty clean. I'm not sure what I saw. Okay, so Mitchell went. Brian Thomas went before Mitchell. That's interesting. Wiggins, there's Mims. Barton even went. I actually have Barton as an interior guy on my board. That's okay. Fatanu now going up tall to his hometown team in Seattle. That's a bit of a surprise. So, I mean, I don't think you tell me if L'Jarius Sneed's departure makes a first-round pick at corner a necessity. I still feel like because of the depth at corner, there's still multiple ways that they can go.
Necessity, no. Possibility if it drops to them. I don't necessarily think that they're going to go that direction. I think that they're pretty happy with their depth at CB, unless they see a player drop that they don't expect to be there. Kind of like they did with when you look back at Trent McDuffie. I don't think they believed that they could get McDuffie where they got him. So I do think that if it's possible that there's a CB there that they didn't believe was going to be there, that they had a first-round grade on, maybe they make a move to try to go get him. But I don't see that being the direction they're going to be going.
Gotcha. Of the tackles, what do we have available? It doesn't look like it was much because I saw Guyton and Mims both go. Jordan Morgan is actually a little bit lower down my board even than the 41 that he's projected at here. So then I would go over to wide receiver. The only problem is you can see here, you lose depth at the offensive quickly. So it would be definitely a journeyman developmental guy, much like a Wani Morris Part 2. If they don't go first round, that makes sense. And
a few positions here.
The standard culprits are here. Ladd McConkey is definitely an option here. Sanistrell, I think, is really interesting. He's an undersized guy, but he plays tough. He's a nickel corner. In my book, he's 80% nickel. Could he go outside to pinch? Possibly. But he's a guy that if you are not comfortable with Jamar Connor, Nick Jones, and Najee Johnson's knee, if you want McDuffie outside, you could plug him in. I don't have a first-round grade on him, so I'd probably skip that. But the other guy that's very close, he'd probably be early 40s. The other guy that I have in probably the top half before 40 would be a defensive tackle on here named Braden Fisk. That would be the other option that I think might be interesting because, again, not a high priority, but an option that we could follow. What does your gut tell you in terms of the values here?
The other thing that this actually really tells me with corner is I do think that the Chiefs are looking at it from the perspective of you build from the inside out. And I do think that they're looking at it from a perspective of you build around your cornerstone players. They didn't see L'Jarius Sneed as that guy, or they wouldn't have traded him, especially for what they got for him. So to me, I think they're looking at trying to keep pass rush to the interior as much as they possibly can, but also really adding edge rushers on defense is always going to be a good idea. The quicker you can get to the quarterback, the better you're going to be.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. I don't see edges on here that make me think you have to go get them. The elites are gone. There's going to be second rounders that I think you can come back for. My gut tells me, given that Sumatai and Morgan are the top tackles on here, that Ladd McConkey is probably the best pick here. We've done that before. I don't know if it matters to you.
Multiple times. He just seems to keep being that guy. Honestly, if this is the way the draft falls out, Kansas City's actually sitting at 32. I think they're going to be trying to trade back. I don't think that they want to be picking at 32, and I think they want to be adding pieces to be able to move around. Although the reality for me is if their roster stays largely the same as what it is right now, I think they're really trying to trade up, and we haven't really discussed that. Maybe we'll be looking at that next week.
I think we should. Just click real quickly on the trade options and who's made us offers. If we can move back into the 30s, see, the best offer is 41. That's not something that I'm willing to do. I would not move back that far. So yep. I think probably the best option is either to go, I would like to go Braden Fisk here and supplement the strength, give another pass rusher, a guy that can jump gaps real easily next to Chris Jones. I see him, like I said, as a 30s, right about 40 type player. It's a slight reach, just like it was for Felix Anudike. I can take it that right here, and it's something that we haven't done yet.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. We're going to go Braden Fisk from Florida State.
Okay. Now that sets us up for day 2. We're going to come back right after this and go through what our next options are at 64.95 and see if we stay in those picks after a message here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Say goodbye to busted brackets because FanDuel lets you bet on every game in this tournament whenever you want. Whether you're betting on an upset or the one seed, it's time to go dancing with America's #1 sports book, and that is FanDuel. Right now, new customers are getting $200 in bonus bets. If your first bet wins on FanDuel, it's $200 back using point spreads, money lines, whatever you're looking for. You can even pick who's going to win it all. Visit us at FanDuel.com/lockedon and bet your college hoops until they cut down the nets right now on FanDuel. Okay, you can check out Locked On Sports Today feed. It is 24/7. There'll be draft talk, there'll be free agency talk, and there will be who's going to try to get back to that championship. We are trying to get back on the clock here as we are at 64. We've seen some other defensive linemen come off the board. That's very telling to me. You got the Yale tackle come off the board that I cannot pronounce his name correctly, so I'm not going to try here. Rosengarten goes, who is a right tackle option that would allow Jawan Taylor to flip over to left, most likely. And we saw Ladd go at 39, Worthy at 38, Leggett at 37. Kingsley went off at 36. So not terribly unexpected. Doesn't look like we've been thrown any left hooks here. So I'm coming back now, and I'm looking back at the tackle group and the wide receiver group because we made something different this particular time and went defensive line up front. We don't have any offers. I like the fit for Jalen McMillan. Des Walker is a little bit of a straight line kind of guy. The route tree is very vertical. I'm not sure that really complements what you have in Rasheed and Hollywood at this point, whereas McMillan's a 3-position receiver. I would lean that way. And obviously it's right at a value point that I could live with. Kyrie Jackson is an Oregon corner that I do kind of like. Comfortable with that. I do think there's going to be some options a little bit on down.
This one's
you know me. Yeah, Baker is interesting. The route tree there, I think, is a little bit more diverse. I'm just not sure what he offers that's significantly different enough to fit in and be a top 3 receiver in this group that is already in Kansas City. Whereas I know McMillan can do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, the main reason I think it's interesting is because I know the Chiefs are having him in for a draft visit. Mm-hmm. So that is something that's just to watch.
If they wanted to go edge,
Ryan, you muted yourself.
I don't think so. I think your headphones have come off the board because it looks like I'm there. But Austin Booker is a guy that I believe would be in position for an edge rusher. But again, Felix Anudike-Uzomah. So I think it comes down to really taking a look at whether you want to fill the wide receiver gap or whether there's a tackle there that's worth taking. The corner group is interesting here, and this might be the best value rather than waiting until 95. So I think that is an option as well.
All right, so let's go ahead and take Jalen McMillan, and we'll move on to 95.
95 is a good number. I like it. You're going to see a lot of, I think, safeties, guards come off now, some value picks. And now we get back to, I'm actually really happy with this. Patrick Paul is one of the developmental tackles that I have on my board that could be selection. So I'm glad that he's there. I don't know if there's others. There's a trade back. There's some offers there we could take a look at. We don't have to go back very far. 103. If we can get, I don't know. My guess is Paul would be gone if we move back that far. But if we got 103 and another 130, maybe even two, we could part with our seventh router possibly. Who knows? But it would have to be a value selection to move back that far, in my opinion. Or I'm just going to take Paul and be happy.
I think we just take Paul and be happy.
Rock and roll.
That gives us a tackle, and we've addressed the top three needs according to PFF, and really kind of where I still think we felt we were anyway.
Yeah, and I think what you get into at that point is now that we've wrapped up day two, we'll take a look here and see what all the comp picks come off as it scrolls down to our next selection. I think this is where it gets interesting. It's funny that there's a corner there at the very top of the board, because I do think where the girth of the secondary class is right there, third to fourth round, top of the third day, fourth round, I think is a viable option. Smate isn't a player I would kin him very much to his former teammate in Jalen Watson, who's on this roster. So I do think there's a possibility there. Both Wazoo guys, they play the press decently. I wouldn't say he's as strong, in my opinion. Haven't done a ton of film on him yet. The corners are still on my list. You get down to Braylon Allen, who I do like. Will Shipley is a back. On day three, if you're going to add a back, I don't know that you can get more bang for your buck in an offense than Will Shipley. He will catch passes. He's very, very sneaky out of the backfield. He'll do all the dirty work, and I think he could supplement Pacheco as well. Garenda, the Matrix 1 for the running back class to this point. Obviously, we're still going through pro days, folks, so I don't have all that data ready, but he is the most explosive athlete in this class.
You get down to Josh Newton, and a couple of tackles and another wide receiver.
I think we're in good shape. Cornelius Johnson isn't somebody that I think is going to excel in this offense, so I'd probably pass on that. The question would be is who's going to be a tight end come our next pick at 159? It's the only argument to make, and it's not or Senate, or however Case Sanders tell me that I'm supposed to pronounce that. He would be an option here as well.
Which way do you want to go?
I would take the highest ranked prospect and go up best available at a position need and just take Smith Wade.
Well, you and I disagree on position need, but we'll draft him and we'll go ahead and go to round number 5.
And we're going to get back to that. We got to go through it and pick up the rest of the guys that can make an impact. How does that happen and who's top? You might even see a preview of it right here, but we'll get to that coming up next on the Locked On Podcast Network. Welcome back. Check out the Locked On Sports Today feed. We are going to wrap up a full mock draft here, and we are on the clock at 1:59 after accomplishing some goals. Still have a little bit yet to do. Dallin Holker is a guy from CSU that I actually do like in my tight end rankings. I have him behind Snot that we were talking about before, but he would be an option. See who else is available and see what you want to do. Mustafa is a guy that could come in and help you out. Dylan Lobb is a really, really interesting, very versatile, and great athlete at the running back position from a tiny school. Javon Foster, I don't think that we need to go there with Patrick Paul and Wanya Morris battling it out probably. So I think we're probably good there. Walter Ross is another OU tackle that could maybe develop, but I see him lasting a little bit farther. Anybody in the wide receiver position really give you want to try double dip there? Anybody give you a good feeling?
Not right now.
Okay.
Kind of feeling the tight end position, if I'm being honest.
Okay. Then, hey, let's go Holker and see what he can bring. I like him. He didn't test well. He plays well on film. If you want to see him, go check out the Colorado State game from this last season. I think you'll get a feel for what he can bring to the table. We are back on the clock at 173, and hey, Dylan Lob's still there. Joe Milton has not agreed to move to tight end, so I'm not including him in the tight end rankings.
Gene Bell, and there's Tyron Tracy. Another supplemental edge rusher and possible with McGregor. Safety, I mean, there's lots of different ways you can go at this point. Luke McCaffrey from Rice.
Did test out faster than I thought he was going to tell you the truth. Heady player, former quarterback. I just don't see a whole lot of upside there. Harrell had a nice Senior Bowl. I do like Watts, a sizable guy that can maybe be a Connor type. Do a couple of things for you. Listed as a corner. He can definitely play safety, in my opinion. Ryman's the really interesting tight end because he is an up athlete that might add to it. But I think we have enough tight ends on the roster at this point.
All right, so you want to go with Dylan Lobb?
I like his fit. That might be a lot of fun.
Okay, let's go ahead and go Dylan Lobb with this pick, which leaves us one more pick at 221, which was the Titans' 7th-round pick. It's now Kansas City's 7th-round pick.
That is a long way to go to get down here.
Yep.
We filled a running back. So as much as I would like to see Frank Gore Jr. get a shot and maybe even be in Kansas City, not going to fill him here at this point because we just did a running back in the last selection.
The big thing, when you start looking at 7th-round picks for me, the big thing is you're looking at a situation where you're more than likely going to be picking a guy that you perceive being a core special teams guy.
Yep.
So positions almost don't matter to an extent. But it is going to be a core special teams guy. So is there anybody that sticks out to you that you think can be a core guy in that aspect?
Let me see the wide receivers and corners. Those will be your best athletes yet available. Every now and then you'll get a linebacker sneak in there, but most likely it's going to come from one of those position groups.
I'm going to throw a linebacker in there just in case.
Okay.
It looks like I screwed up and got all of them. So
just hit the X and it'll take it all out.
Oh, there you go. So wide receiver, corner, and linebacker.
Okay, scroll for me a little bit. Keep on going. Masao tested really well at his pro day. I do like him. I was looking for the UW Ilofosio. Keep coming down for him. There he is. He is linebacker 1 right now in the athletic matrix. So definitely has some potential there. They have Cam Jones. They have Cole Christensen. They have Jack Cochran. I don't know that that's a push that they have to go get. Keep rolling. We're going to take the best athlete I can find down here. And
the other part of this is they're also going to be trying to steal guys that they don't think will make it to undrafted free agency. So that's why
very true.
You're looking at this.
I would take Olfocio and go with it.
Okay. That rounds out our draft.
Rock and roll. So we ended up getting quite a bit done. I don't know if that selected it.
Oh, it sure doesn't look like it, does it?
I think you're a little low at this point.
Don't see him on the list. Oh, it went back to all players. That's why. Linebacker.
The machine is the machine.
That fixed
There we go. That'll wrap up the draft. And I think this is an interesting scenario because it's outside the normal quote unquote realm of possibility where you had the tackles fall out early. You were able to come back, get a wide receiver that is a fit, not necessarily one of the top guys. But I think in terms of like playing that kind of third fiddle guy that can do a little bit of everything, can step in if one of your two bigger bodied receivers or bigger role receivers. Hollywood's not bigger than Jalen McMillan. But if somebody has to miss a game, he can do a little bit of everything, and I like that. Patrick Paul will battle back and forth, not just on the left. He could be a swing tackle candidate behind Morris and Taylor as well. Smith Wade will get in that group, and I do think he has upside that can be pulled out of there. Dallin Hooker will jump into that tight end room and challenge them, not just in get off, but in physicality, in blocking downfield. That would be a nice addition. Dylan Lobb, a little brick house that runs out of the backfield that can help Isaiah Pacheco. And Udafon Foshio. I always mess up his name, but good athlete that can plug in and play teams for you.
There you go. Looks like a pretty good draft grade, B overall. I can understand why they're going B- on Fisk. It's not really the biggest need that you would look at, but we've gone Ladd McConkey multiple different times. I still think he's a great fit in this offense. But I still, at this point, especially with the trade of Snead, I do not see them sticking at 32. So I think we're going to have to look at that going forward.
Yeah, I think next week we'll start putting together some scenarios to trade up.
Yep. That's the way
That's going to do it for us, folks. What do you think of this? If the Chiefs can't get out of 32 and they got to select there, this is one scenario that we might actually see come to fruition. Make a strength stronger. That was the premise. Let us know what you think in the comments. We would appreciate it. Thanks for spending your time with us. Make sure you like, sub, and hit the bell. And get over to the audio platforms. We're going to be with you all week long, starting tomorrow, where we break down more options yet. And then Matt and Derek will be back with us on Wednesday to give us the inside look over at the facility. Thanks for spending your time with us today. And